Hey everyone, this is your girl Jacques with this week's featured voice. I'm so excited to have this week's special guest with us. I don't think I had a chance to meet him at the Audio Awards. I'm actually not even sure if he was there. And I'm really beating myself up right now because if he was there, I definitely should have made my way around to meet him. But no worries, I have him on the show, and now I get to spend a few minutes with him, and you guys get to get a few minutes with both of us together. And yeah, he's from Chicago. He's not there anymore, but I'm always a big fan of everyone who's from the Midwest like me. And unfortunately, he left Chicago and moved somewhere a little bit colder than Chicago. Like, I don't know why anybody would do that, but he did. Anyway, so please let's welcome Roberto Scarlato. Hi, Roberto. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Jacqueline. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and guess what? I am in Indiana, and the sun's out, and it's actually warm and not cold. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can hear the birds chirping in the background.
Can you?
Yeah.
That's so. At least you can't hear the train that just went by or my dog's barking. So we'll say that's a good thing. We'll go with the birds and be happy. How's everything where you are? How's the weather?
Well, actually, here in Michigan, it's not too bad. It's sunny. There's not a cloud in the sky. They said we might have some rain, but I don't believe it. And now I'm starting to sound like a weatherman.
You do kind of have your weatherman voice going on there, but
Yeah.
that,
Sorry about.
but that's a good thing though. So, well, welcome to the featured voice. I'm very honored and excited to have you on the show. So many things I went through your bio and your background, and in my head, I was like, I have no idea where to start because you do so many things, voiceover and you write. So I'd love to know a little bit about both of the things you do. So let's kind of start with your writing before we get into your audio work. So how did you actually decide that you wanted to go into writing?
Well, it all started from a nightmare I had in 1999 about this doctor who had very strange looking eyes. So I decided to take some notes right when I woke up, and I just started to work on a novel, and I didn't tell anybody about it, but I really wanted to see where the story was going. And after that novel, I decided, what the heck, I can do this again, I think. So I wrote another novel. And then my girlfriend came along, now my wife, and she wanted to read some of my story. And so I would give her basically 2 chapters a week, and she got hooked. And eventually she told me, you need to write more because this is good stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that ever since. I think I've been writing for like 17 years.
Wow. And it's always so nice when I hear that people share their stories with their significant others or spouses, and how encouraging they are for you to move forward. And I think that's probably your biggest fan or your best fan and your worst critic. So if it sucked, I'm pretty sure she probably would have said it sucked, right?
She does not let me get away with anything. If I gloss over one scene, she's like, no, 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 go back and write something that makes sense.
I love it. It's like you have an in house editor.
Yeah, yeah. I rely on her for that. Yeah.
Well, that's good. And so I see that you kind of write in various genres. So kind of give us a little bit information about that, and then tell me kind of what's your favorite genre to write in.
Well, let's see. The first book was science fiction mixed with supernatural, and then the second book was a suspense book, and that had some things in it where it was ghosts and the occult. And the third book that I worked on, I just recently released it. It's called Pickpocket Frankie, and it's about this kid who gets abandoned in New York City by his father, and he has to start making a way for himself and start finding a place all his own, getting
Used
food
your
all his
peripheral
own, and
vision
the
to scan.
only means of support that he has is picking people's pockets.
Wow. And what genre would you put that in?
Oh, well, I wanted to put some comedy in there, so it's sort of like a crime fiction mixed with a comedy.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it, and so that's one of my things. I'm trying to broaden my horizons of books that I read and I listen to. So, are any of your books on audio? And if they are, do you narrate them yourself?
Yes, yes. There's 6 books that I have up on Audible that I have written, and I've narrated a few of them. As a matter of fact, when I was first starting out on ACX, I had no samples to put on my profile, so I just narrated my own book and put it up there, and I started auditioning, and then I suddenly got offers.
That's awesome. So, let's talk a little bit about your voiceover work because, again, you are the featured voice, and so we, of course, want to know a little bit about that. So, when did you decide that that was something that you also enjoy doing? Since you said you've been writing for about 16 years, tell us a little bit about your journey into the book of audio.
Well, I was going down a path that I thought was right for me, and you know what they say, be careful what you wish for.
Yes,
I
exactly.
was living in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my wife and my child. I have a 4-year-old daughter now,
Mm-hmm.
and I was working at this job that I had worked for at like 4 years, and I suddenly got promoted to machine operator.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to work long nights, and I'm just going in every day at 3 o'clock and coming home at night at midnight. And I had to be at that machine, and I thought that it was going to be enough money to sustain us, but it didn't turn out that way. And the whole time I was miserable.
Yeah.
But during that time that I was working on those machines, they let you bring your iPod in. So that whole time I was listening to audiobooks. And one day it just snapped. I was sitting there and I was watching the machine. I was doing what I needed to do, and I'm listening to this audiobook, and I'm thinking to myself, what the heck am I doing? This guy is having more fun than I am
Yeah.
just narrating this book. This is the business I should be getting into. So I went home. I told my wife about it. She said, yes, do something with your voice. I've been telling you this whole time. So I
I think
started
I love your
auditioning.
wife, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Just had to say
Oh,
that.
yeah. And that's how it all started. She told me, okay, well, if you want to do this, I'll support you and everything. And so I put up like 10 auditions,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden, very quickly, I started getting more and more offers. So much so that I went back to my wife again and said, well, honey, it looks like I'll have to go in and quit my job because now
Yes.
this is bringing in a little bit more money than my previous job was.
Right. And the thing is, so you were a machine operator, so now you have less things to lift. You just have a microphone. So that works out
Right.
great. And you get to
Less
sit
heavy
down all
lifting.
day.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like the best job ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
very much so.
did you do any type of, training? Had you had any experience with, any type of acting or anything before you decided to do that? Or did you just take a chance and say, my voice is amazing and I'm just gonna, kind of just go with it?
Oh, believe me, I am not that confident when it came to my voice. I thought that everybody who said that they liked my voice and that I should do something with it was just being nice or something. But when I was in high school, actually, I was involved in a lot of plays, and I was in a couple of productions, and then there were none. I was
Hmm.
in Dracula, and that's actually how I met my wife, was doing the plays in high school.
Hmm.
And so that gave me a little bit of training, how to control my voice, how to emphasize what word in each piece of dialogue, and that kind of helped me out.
And see, I think those are things that that listeners don't really understand. There is a process to performing in an audiobook, and
Hmm.
we like to think, they just went in the studio and they may or may not have read the book, and then they don't read, because I never like to say that you guys are just reading, you are performing, but we don't really think about all of the other things that go into that, about breathing and diaphragm and all that good stuff. And as you can hear, the train's going by, so yay for the train. But I like that you said that you started performing in high school and things like that, and that's something that you still were able to bring over into your now career. So would you say that you're not performing audiobooks or recording audiobooks as full-time? Is it still part-time for you, and writer is full-time, or is it kind of 50-50?
Well, for me, audiobooks has been totally full-time.
Okay.
There are some dead spots here and there where, there's no projects for a certain month. Usually, oddly enough, in January, that seems to be a dead month for audiobooks, just like the movie business.
Right.
But audiobooks became a full-time profession for me after I quit my job. And writing has always been something that I did on the side or as a hobby, and that's something that I do part-time now. But I really have the drive for both formats. I love narrating somebody else's work, and I love writing. And I think listening to all these audiobooks that I have, not just in my professional life, but my personal life, has made me become a better writer.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you like to listen to audiobooks personally. I find that there are some people who don't listen to them, and I wouldn't say that that voice performers or narrators don't. I really don't know if they listen to them. So do you have a specific genre or an author whose audiobooks that you love, that you listen to as soon as it comes out, you want to listen to it?
Well, I can tell you right off the bat, if I start going on the people that I love to listen to, this podcast will never be over. But I can tell you for sure that I love listening to anything by Scott Brick.
Okay.
And also, oh God, what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name already.
I put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I should have warned you.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sure I'll remember it during the course of this podcast.
Of course you will. But do you remember the title of the book?
It was called Beneath, and it was written by Jeremy Robinson.
Okay. See how I helped you get to where you were trying to go with that?
Yes, it just came out. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And so, as far as your career goes, so tell us about how many audiobooks to date that you've recorded.
Well, if you go on Audible, it will say, if you type in my name, Roberto Scarlato, it will pull up 103 audiobooks. Now, a small handful of those are written by me, probably like 6 or 7. But the others, they're books that I have narrated, but there's also stuff that I've only done the introduction for, and that's for like translations where, they narrate in German and in English. But right now on my ACX dashboard, it says that I have 4 projects in the can right now. That's stuff that I'm working on right now. But all told, it will be 91 audiobooks.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's
amazing. Thank you. I want to crack that 100.
Well, I think you'll be there. I mean, we're halfway through the year now. Can you believe it? We're in June. And so I think you have time to get those extra 9 books in before December 31st.
Yeah.
We're going to make that happen. See, we're going to put this podcast, and we're going to do a big blast, and we're going to say you need to hire Roberto, because I just totally sorry, it sounds so weird calling you Roberto, and I think I should roll the R like Roberto or something. That's what I want to do.
Any way you want to pronounce the name, that's fine with me.
So we're going to make sure that we get this information out to authors, and so they can hear how great you sound. And so do you have a favorite accent that you like to do, or one that you think you're more well versed with that is kind of fun, or you think is a challenge to you?
I knew you were going to ask that question, and I had two things prepared. Um, when I first started narrating audiobooks, I just did different voices. It's just me clowning around and stuff. But these really are like in an audiobook. I wish that people would listen to more audiobooks because it's like a movie for your head.
Yes.
And I know it's only one person or sometimes two people who are doing the dialogue and the direction, but if they're really good at what they do, they can make the story come alive.
Yes.
And the first 10 books that I did, there wasn't any really special requirements, but when I got my first big break with two dual authors named Dima Zales and Anna Zares, they had me start this project called The Thought Readers, and in there was a person who had a Russian accent. And I wasn't sure if I could do a Russian accent, but then I just started listening to more and more people and listening to audio podcasts and watching movies, and all of a sudden it stuck, because I have an ear for mimicry. And so that's one accent that I really enjoy doing because I know that I got it down pat. But the other one would have to be everybody's favorite, Antonio Banderas. He's just got such a flavor with his voice, and he makes you, if there's an audiobook out there, somebody please find it, where it's all Antonio Banderas and he's narrating the entire thing. Please send that to me. I'd love to listen to it.
So you know what you should do, right? You should just make an audiobook about voices. So you're gonna say this book is read to the voice of Antonio Banderas, and you just read like the whole book to his voice.
Oh my God, I think you just found another market for audiobooks.
And
this is read in the style of Antonio Banderas.
I love it, and it kind of goes with one of those fun 5 facts that you gave me that I'm not going to mention. So once I put that out, then you should record a sound clip for me where you're just reading, like maybe a favorite, what are those things? A tongue twister, like how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood, to the voice of Antonio Banderas. Like that's your homework.
Yeah, I'll get right on it. Yeah.
But back to the Russian one, because when I listen to audiobooks, of course, we want the person to sound as authentic as possible. And again, like, I could count on no hands how many people I know that are Russian. So, of course, I don't really know what a Russian person sounds like. And even on TV, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, that person's not Russian. So, so give us a little bit of a sample of your perfected Russian voice. And maybe you just want to... I don't know. I would say give me a sample out of one of your books, a line out of one of your favorite books. If you know one.
I could just riff.
Okay, do it. Yes.
Yeah. Usually when I go into a voice, and my wife will tell you, I become that person. Like if I start doing Jeff Goldblum, I become Jeff Goldblum and I start talking like him. Let's see. Well, a Russian accent. In the book, The Thought Readers, this character would try to convince his friend of something, and like they had to go and get a machine or something like that, and he tells you, Derek, you have to come with me because we have to find this machine, and if we could find this machine, it will solve world hunger.
I love
it. Do you understand me, friend?
Yes. I was gonna try to say yes in Russian, but yeah, I speak English and I barely do that well, so yeah, no. But I love it. Have you ever watched The Americans?
No, I haven't. That's that's a show on my list that I've been wanting to watch.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you need to watch The Americans, because every time I watch it first, I'm glad that they have subtitles, because a lot of it is in Russian, and so maybe those actors are Russian. I don't know, but then I always have to get up or put my glasses on to watch it, and that's what made me stop watching it, because I can't see. But
they're cheating. They've got dialect coaches and stuff.
Oh, so they cheated then. They fooled me.
Probably. Yeah.
Bummer. You ruined it for me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You were supposed to let me think they were Russian. Boo. So let's talk a little bit about your latest project, Till
Yes.
Death Do Us Part. So give me a little background about that particular book, and like normally, what's your process before you start recording? Do you actually read the book or just skim through because you don't have to read it?
Oh, well, I could tell you right now, 10 times out of 10, you have to read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't read the book, you're just setting yourself up for disaster. You have to know everything that goes on in the story, where the beats are, how each character is represented, what they want. Otherwise, you can't fully reproduce the story through your voice in
Right.
somebody else's mind. And
Right.
the human ear is very sensitive, and it can pick up on things that you didn't know that something could pick up on. Like, they could tell, like, oh, why is he reading it in a slower way? Is he not that confident? Is the
Mm-hmm.
character not that confident? So it's very hard to trick the human ear. So you have to be very, very well researched when you do these things. And with Till Death Us Do Part, it's written by Annie Ortman, and she approached me one day. She sent me a message. Or actually, you know what? I think I auditioned for it. And she said, I loved your audition. Can you do this book for me? It's a romantic thriller. And I said, sure. I'd love to take a read for it. That's what interested me in the book, because
Mm-hmm.
those audition scripts really give you a keen insight into whether the story is written very clearly, if the characters are well developed, if they have like a relatable story to somebody who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the audition, and she picked me up for that contract, and I read the entire book, and I got so into it. And oddly enough, there was an accent for one of these characters, not the main character, but I guess you would call it a secondary character, where he has a very smooth Dutch accent.
Oh,
And I,
smooth Dutch.
yeah, smooth Dutch. And I had no idea if I could do that. So I got to tell you, YouTube is a great resource for
I've heard.
somebody who wants to listen to accents and kind of get an idea of how they're using their mouth to form the words.
Mm-hmm.
And once I read it, I was just so into this character's life, and it had twists and turns galore. Oh my goodness. I was the biggest fan. And I told her after I finished it, I'm the biggest fan of your work. Please let me know when you're doing more.
Oh, I love it. So, now in this sample that you sent over, will we hear a little bit of that accent in there?
Yeah, you know what? I think you might. There might be a little bit of an accent in there, but the character is probably, very weak. So you'll see. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take a listen, and I mispronounced it. The title of the book is "Till Death Us Do Part." So let's take a listen to the sample.
Okay.
The cold, refreshing mountain air made Vicky Golden feel alive. She pushed hard, cresting the ridge close to the summit, near freezing wind chilling her lungs with every inhale. Watching her footwork on the snow and ice, she used her peripheral vision to scan the landscape ahead. She loved Mount Shasta, could spend days, and often did, hiking alone, basking in the serenity above 14,000 feet. Not today. Dean! Vicky said into the two-way radio clipped to her shoulder. You and Schroeder head south. Come up around the east side of the crash site. Brian and I will continue in our current direction. Static crackled over the radio. You're the boss, her business partner and fellow rescue team member answered. How many people are we looking for? 3. Duff plus his 2 passengers. Shadows.
So we got a little bit of a sample of that particular book, and it seems like I want to say they're looking for somebody. Is somebody missing in this? I mean, you don't have to tell us what's going on I mean, it's a mystery. So, are they actually looking for somebody in that sample?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a crash, and these people were sent in to rescue the people who were the unfortunate people who were inside the crash.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I heard a couple things there, and I can't differentiate who's who, but I don't know which one was the Dutch person, and I probably didn't even get that far into the sample because, of course, it's just a sample. It's like a teaser. I'm teasing everybody with this particular book, but I asked Tom last week when we did the podcast with him, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier about using your face and how you the facial, I guess the way you shape your face and things like that helps you with your accents. So do you have a mirror in your studio, like if you're doing some, an older character, or you're doing a female character or anything like that, where you actually have to make facial expressions? And do you ever like look at yourself when you do them?
You know something? I don't have any mirrors in my office. I don't want to look at myself that much. So no, I don't use mirrors. But I do agree that you have to have a sort of facial expression while you're doing voices. Now, I can tell you that I am not a singer by any means, but I kind of know from doing this for so long. Me and my brother used to do funny voices and impressions just to make each other laugh, and we made each other laugh so much in our bedroom that our parents kept on coming out and telling us to shut up. But I will tell you that, like, there are certain parts of the mouth where if you stick your tongue a certain place, or if you hold your jaw a certain way, you can get different voices out of one mouth. As a matter of fact, I just finished up this Western for this one author. It's 12 hours long, and every character was just as different as the next. And for one character, I asked him, like, what kind of person he was thinking about in this role, and he told me. And so I suddenly was like, okay, so he's a hard-bitten man, he's rough and tumble, he's very intimidating. So I think if I move my lip just up a certain amount, all of a sudden, yeah, there we go. We add a little bit of bass to it, and now I got a rough and tumble cowboy.
And I wish you guys could see it, because I'm watching him on video. and so I see the facial expressions, and it's awesome.
Right. It's kind of like a Western-style Elvis. You got to get that lip up there.
Do you do an Elvis impression?
Well, thank you very much.
Well, that would be a
Just
yes,
a
everyone. He does. That would be early Elvis, right?
That would be Miss Lady.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, I am so happy that you took some time out to chat with me today, and that you are a part of the featured voice. And I really, 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 really am excited about sharing those 5 fun facts, everybody, because I think it's real important to be able to share another side of the person behind the voice that we hear in either our favorite books or books that we have yet to find their way into our library. And so that's the whole goal behind the featured voice, is to share talent with you. And Roberto is I'm gonna be saying that all day, by the way. I'm gonna be going around saying your name with that in it, just because I'm gonna try.
It's a nice name. I like it.
It is a great name, and I should not call you Roberto. It just sounds, it doesn't give you that extra oomph. So
it's perfectly fine.
Okay, I get it. But in my intro, I did roll the R a little bit, so you'll hear it later. But thank you so much again for being a part of the featured voice, and thank you everybody for listening. Please be sure that you visit Audible and go and check out Roberto's library. It's spelled just like I said it, Roberto Scarlato. Spell it.
Scarlato.
Scarlato. See, I messed up your last name.
Oh, that's fine. It's Scarlato.
Scarlato. Say it faster. Say that 5 times fast, everybody. No, don't do that.
And then I'll appear.
Like a genie.
Yeah, exactly.
And tell our listeners how else they can find you or follow you on social media or any other outlets.
Certainly. You can find me on Twitter at Roberto Scarlato, and you could also find me on Facebook if you type in Roberto Scarlato Books.
And you're only on Twitter and Facebook, right?
Yeah, for the time being. I'm also on YouTube. I do a couple of videos here and there.
Okay. And under the same name?
No, it's under Vendetta Man.
I would love to know where that title came from, but I'll ask you that later, and we'll add it as a fun fact.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you so much to our guest, this week's guest, Roberto. And thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been the Featured Voice with your girl, Jacques, on the Audio Flow. And until next week, remember, it's love at first sound.